So a lot of people were upset with me yesterday because I forgot to show Javier Baez's greatest throw in the history of baseball. Check this out. He fields it, and I'm not sure what happened, but that ball flew to outer space. Now, he did make up for it in the next game with this nasty web gem, so we're going to go ahead and break down that game because the Cubs versus the Brewers, it got a little bit spicy. Blake Snell was angry at the Padres, and then also Trevor Bauer's press conference. He is not happy with Ken Rosenthal, and he showed it. Anyways, if this is your first time on the channel, do not be afraid to hit that subscribe button because we are on the road to 300,000 subs. Thank you all so much for the support over the last 2 weeks. I could not ask for a better fan base. We're going to go ahead and start off the video with some injury updates because Wil Myers, actually, there's only one update, so it's not like we have to go through a bunch of them. Wil Myers, he left the Padres game yesterday. Yesterday was an L all around for the San Diego Padres, considering they lost to the Pirates 8-4, even though they had 13 walks in that game. So we'll break that down in just a moment. But yes, he has inflammation in his right knee. He is considered day-to-day. Let's move on to some history. Akil Baddoo, the bad man, has made Tigers history. Renato Nunez has been a shot in the arm for the Tigers, both him and Akil Baddoo, and also combine that with Casey Mize. I truly believe that this lineup and roster can be pretty decent for the rest of 2021. With that home run, Akil Baddoo becomes the first Tigers player in Tigers franchise history to have 4 home runs in his first 8 career games, but we're not done just yet. Wilson Ramos is up to 6 bombs on the season already, so he is now leading all of baseball. The 2 players that the Mets let go over the offseason, Wilson Ramos and Jet Lowry, we'll talk about him in just a few moments, they are raking in 2021, so apparently they're not washed up. The Mets just didn't believe in them. Matthew Boyd went almost 7 innings, only allowed 1 earned run against a very strong Astros team. Jake Odorizzi, on the other hand, for the Astros, he made his debut after signing a pretty big contract over the offseason. He was not good whatsoever. And again, I'll say this, the Tigers can be a really fun team when Akil Baddoo's raking, Miggy is, out the lineup, and Matthew Boyd is doing what he's supposed to do and trying to bring along Tariq Skubal and Casey Mize. I know I kind of went off on a Tigers rant, but that's because I like what they're doing. The Dodgers hit 3 home runs in the first 3 innings yesterday, and that was all that Trevor Bauer needed. It's always fun to see Corey Seager and Mookie Betts go yard in the same game, but again, Trevor Bauer just needed 1 single run. He goes with the one-eye performance yet again, closing one and pointing at the other to show the hitter that he's going with a one-eye approach. The offense made sure that he was carefree and just being Trevor Bauer. He went 7 innings, 1 hit, 9 strikeouts. He now has a 2.7 ERA and 29 strikeouts in 20 innings. So he is feeling himself. He is showing the Dodgers that all of that money that they're giving him is going to be justified. He's going to be really good. And after the game, he goes off on Ken Rosenthal because a few days ago, Ken Rosenthal pretty much threw Trevor Bauer under the bus that he had suspicious baseballs, even though every pitcher in baseball could potentially have suspicious baseballs because they're collecting all of them. Just kind of a clickbait report, and I understand clickbait. Obviously, I'm a YouTuber, but yeah, Trevor Bauer's not happy.
So when you have someone that intentionally comes out and writes something slanted, like I'm all for a clickbait headline. Like I get the benefit of that and all that stuff, but that's such a joke of an article. It's such a, like, someone who calls himself a journalist, just a joke.
We have some more drama. This is coming from the Cubs versus Brewers game. The Cubs win 3-2, but the story of the game pretty much came from Wilson Contreras. A few days ago, he stuck his elbow guard out and got hit. He was upset by that. I don't understand why. He was trying to get hit. He got hit, but then he's upset. Anyways, that tension leaked into yesterday's game as Brandon Woodruff was almost hit in the ankles by Tepera of the Chicago Cubs. Woodruff was not happy with it. Him and Anthony Rizzo, they went back and forth. Now, kind of a full circle moment. Wilson Contreras hits the last laugh as he hits an absolutely prodigious home run and pimps it. I mean, this ball could still be traveling. If you told me that, I would fully believe you. And then Craig Kimbrell, he is back on the Hall of Fame trajectory. He has been disgusting in 2021. I believe he has 6 innings, no hits, 10 strikeouts. Easily one of my favorite players of the last decade. When he was with the Braves, he might have been the most dominant relief pitcher ever, aside from Mariano Rivera. This was a cool story. Adam Duvall shows up against his former team, the Atlanta Braves, and he is showing that they are missing out. He hit 2 home runs and drove in 7 RBIs in 1 game yesterday, so he put up a Tyler Naquin-esque performance. Brian Anderson could be the most underrated player in all of baseball, maybe the most underrated third baseman. Maybe we can't go as far as to say player. The Marlins absolutely roughed up Max Fried as he gave up 7 earned runs. That is 14 earned earned runs in 15 innings. I don't know what's going on with Max Fried, but between Mike Soroka's injury and now Max Fried regressing, the Braves pitching rotation went from easily the best to now there's a lot of question marks, but good for Adam Duvall, good for the Marlins. That was a lot of offense, 22 runs in a single game. 4 different players drove in 3 RBIs yesterday for the Cardinals. You have Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado, Matt Carpenter, and a guy named Justin Williams. That was number 250 for his career for Paul Goldschmidt. Also, Nolan Arenado is now up to 3 home runs and a 170 OPS plus. But yeah, Coors Field is the reason why he was so good over the course of his career. Let's just put that away right now. That is no longer something that is of value. Nolan Arenado is a savage at Coors Field and away from Coors Field. So thank you, Nolan, for shutting up the haters. And then Jack Flaherty with his best start of the year. 6 innings, only allows 1 earned run. Moving on over to some AL matchups, we have the Royals beating the Angels by a score of 3-2. Now, Shohei Ohtani did kind of steal the show in the first few innings with his legs and his power. He is now in the top 5% in sprint speed and all of the major exit velo and all of that crazy stats. I'll throw up the graphics right now. He is a once-in-a-lifetime talent. I mean, CC Sabathia said that he is the best player that he's ever seen, but unfortunately for the Angels, the Royals were able to strike out Mike Trout 4 times. They gave him the golden sombrero as Jared Walsh was hitting the cup in the final innings. That allowed Salvador Perez to backpick David Fletcher at third base, and the game was over. Now, again, I said that we were going to talk about some AL matchups, so let's bring up the Red Sox versus the Twins. Bobby Dahlbeck, he had 2 RBI doubles in yesterday's game, and Rafael Devers homers in his 4th consecutive ball game. The Red Sox have now won 7 straight games. Over the offseason, I said that the Angels and the Red Sox were going to surprise some people, and so far, I mean, I'm not trying to say anything, but I've been right. And then when you factor in Akil Baddoo having a breakout first 2 weeks and making Tigers history, I mean, to anyone that says I don't know baseball, take that. I get clowned on a lot, so sometimes I have to defend myself, okay? I'm sorry. The Boston Red Sox are surging. On the flip side, the Yankees are playing a very weird and boring brand of baseball. Yesterday, they were not going to beat Hyun-Jin Ryu because he was on top of his game. This was over in the 4th inning as the Blue Jays offense pretty much took care of business. Ryu was 1 out away from going 7 innings. He went scoreless and had 7 strikeouts. And might I mention that Vladdy Jr. is nearing a 400 batting average with an OPS over 1100. I mean, he has been so good to start off the year. I am so excited for the Blue Jays' future. I can't wait to see what Kevin Biggio turns into, what Bo Bichette turns into, what that lineup looks like when George Springer is back in it, and when they get Nate Pearson back from injury. I mean, I know the Red Sox are streaking and the Rays made the ALCS and the Yankees are the Yankees. I don't know. If the Blue Jays continue to do this and get good spot starts from random pitchers in that rotation, they're going to be good. It seems like the Diamondbacks are Zach Gallen or bust because Madison Bumgarner has not been that good. I will say that Luke Weaver can be pretty solid, but he's going to have a blow-up start every now and then. Mark Canha drove in an RBI yesterday as Jed Lowry led the charge with a 3-run home run. He has been raking. That is 2 bombs on the year already. I believe 10 RBIs. Seth Brown gives the A's the lead in the final innings, and I do want to mention that Mark Canha over his last 192 games, so pretty much a season and a third of ball games, he has a 142 OPS plus. No one talks about Mark Canha as being one of the better hitters in the American League, which he has been over the last almost 200 games. And then one quick little stat that is blowing my mind, Ramon Laureano has 8 stolen bases already. He is by far leading the league. I mean, I did not know that Ramon was this good at grabbing bags. So the title of today's video, we're going to go ahead and talk about that today. Blake Snell, let's just face it, he was not good in the first inning of yesterday's game. He didn't even make it out of the first inning. He was taken out and visibly upset, both coming off the mound and in the dugout. I fully believe that the Padres should have left him in, even if the game got away, fine. It's one game in April. You're supposed to trust in Blake Snell. You traded for him, but they took him out, and I kind of understand why, because he was not good. You do have to pitch better, but I want to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he could have gotten out of that. I know Jacob Stallings and Eric Gonzalez, they drove in 5 RBIs, but the Pirates won that ball game without hitting a single home run. They scored 8 on all base hits, not one left the yard, and then they also walked 13 Padres hitters. Just a very strange game, one of the most weird box scores I've ever seen, and yeah, the Pirates win with 13 walks and no home runs. Okay, Shane Bieber versus Lucas Giolito could be summed up by this image right here. 0 from holes. If you guys have no idea what I'm talking about, the box score was 0-0 going into the extra innings. Bieber became one of 3 pitchers with 35 strikeouts in his first 3 starts of the season. He's now done that in 2 consecutive seasons. Cleveland's offense took advantage of the runner on second rule. Ahmed Rosario doubles, and Jake Lamb almost ties it up against James Karinchak in the final inning. I thought this ball was gone off the bat, but Bieber absolutely dominant. Lucas Giolito easily a front runner to win the Cy Young in 2021, which is awesome for him because he was the worst starter in all of baseball back in 2018 or 2019. So Shane Bieber versus Lucas Giolito. This is going to be a matchup that is must-see TV for the next decade if they stay with their respective teams. If Shane Bieber gets traded or walks away from Cleveland, I'm out. We have 2 doubleheaders I want to bring up. The Mariners versus the Orioles. The Mariners take game number 1 as they put up 3 in the first, and then Kyle Seager again comes in clutch. He wins it in extras. In game number 2 of that doubleheader, the Orioles bounce back with Maikel Franco and Ryan Mountcastle leading the way in a walk-off victory. Moving on over to our final doubleheader, the Mets swept the Phillies. This was 2 big-time wins from New York. Pete Alonso and Jonathan Villar, they win it in the 8th inning of game number 1. And then in game number 2, all Marcus Stroman needed was 1 single run as he goes 6 innings, 0 earned runs, as the Mets offense for the 2nd consecutive game scores 4 runs. Usually that won't be enough to beat the Phillies because the Phillies are pretty high-powering offense, but yesterday the Mets pitching staff did a really good job. The Giants versus the Cincinnati Reds, both starters were roughed up. 8 runs were scored combined in the first inning of that game. Evan Longoria hits number 4. He is still a star player. Maybe he's not a star, but he is still a very good baseball player. Once upon a time, a superstar third baseman, Austin Slater. He then follows that up with an RBI triple. That triple gives the Giants a chance to take the lead in the 7th inning as the Giants come away with a 7-6 victory over the Cincinnati Reds. And then last but not least, the Rangers beat up on the Tampa Bay Rays. Nick Solak, Charlie Culberson, they drive in a combined 6 RBIs as Kyle Gibson sails through 6 innings. He was really good yesterday. And that does it for today's MLB recap. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know what was your favorite part of today's video. And I guess we'll go ahead and end it with this day in Major League Baseball history. Stay safe.